Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trail Mix, where the nuts might be a little stale, but the company is always fresh.
Craig Crawford here, retired journalist working for nothing but the truth and Social Security checks. Today, we're going to the Supreme Court. We got some friends joining us a little later. The question before the justices? Tax the whole planet. That's what tariffs are, a tax. And he's proposing to tax just about everybody that he doesn't like or he gets miffed about, offends him in some way. Does he have unlimited power to do this? Congress passed laws supposedly retaining control, giving the president a little authority, but only in emergencies. And what he's done is he's declared emergencies wherever he can come up with some excuse to call it an emergency so that he can claim the power to tax. He's claiming emergency powers in a lot of other areas too that is a little spooky. But we're going to look here at a nice package I found from the French TV, English language. That's a setup. I'm going to show that in it. And it talks about the actual case involved here, which is mostly small businesses suing over the impact on their business of tariffs for supplies and different things they get from products from abroad that he's taxed. So here's a nice 8 minutes that really sets up what this is all about in a very understandable way.
A U.S. Supreme Court case will be heard this Wednesday on the legality of the trade tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump invoked the little-used law of 1977, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, to impose what many informed observers see as arbitrary penalties on all countries who trade with the United States, the U.S., of course, the main economic superpower in the world. A major question hangs over the Supreme Court's closely watched case then on President Trump's far-reaching tariffs. Will the conservative majority hold the Republican president to the same exacting standards it used to limit his Democratic predecessor, Joe Biden?
Hey, Mary Jane.
An apparel company in Vermont is one of just a handful of small businesses at the center of a legal battle over Donald Trump's wide-sweeping tariffs.
TV about
now before the Supreme Court.
Tariff case.
Now we're subject to an ever-waning amount of
is this going to
cost to the company?
When do they start?
Seems unfair. It seems
no, the audio's coming up.
The lawsuit centers on the question of presidential authority. Under the Constitution, only Congress has the power to impose taxes. But Trump invoked a 1977 law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which gives the president emergency powers to deal with any unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, or economy of the United States.
I've often thought about that and thinking, God, how ancient that was. We had to they had to put little cassette tapes.
There he is. Hey, there's Lou.
Hey, Lou.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello there. Let's see. I was running a little package here from French TV. It's amazing how much I find on foreign news sources that's really more informative than on this tariff case than our own, because it affects them as much as it does us.
Do you think Peter's going to weigh in, or is he in?
He said he was going to be a few minutes late. Can you hear me, Lou?
Yeah, I can hear you guys just fine.
Okay. All right. And let's see. I'm going to bring in let's see what the if we have anything yet.
Mary Jane, where are you?
I am in New Smyrna Beach. I'm still practicing law. Can you believe that?
Well, I am too.
I was going to say, it looks like you are too. So what are we talking about?
When you guys go to retire, I highly recommend it.
Do you? I don't know. I keep people ask me, and I keep saying, I still kind of like what I do. I like the people I do it with, and I get paid to do it. So,
well, that's hard to argue with that.
And I say, well, if I retired, I would want to travel all the time, and then I would run out of money, and then I'd have to come back to work. So, I still travel and have money in the bank when I come home.
Yeah, I've actually slowed down, a fair amount. We've been doing a lot more travel lately, but I still come in pretty much every day and try to stay up with things.
Well, we had a big night for Democrats.
Man,
it was. I saw it coming, and it was maybe even better than I saw coming.
I didn't think, especially in New Jersey, that the margin. I mean, I knew in Virginia she was going to do really well. I didn't expect such a great result in New Jersey. I thought it was going to be a lot tighter than that.
Yeah.
But man.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. You know what? Those Hispanic voters in some of those big counties that had flipped to Trump last time, they flipped back Democrat.
Woke up.
I think we could draw some conclusions from that.
They did turn a big
read my coffee cup.
All right.
Independents too.
Yeah.
It looks like the Hispanics, at least for now, are coming back home. We'll see if it sticks.
But this is the stat I really love here is when they sweep in these off years, as we call them, when they sweep New Jersey, Virginia, and the New York mayor's race. Look at there, 5 out of the last 5 times that's happened. A year later in the midterms, the Democrats have won the House. And that's 5 out of 5 times in the last 90 years. So I'm going to go with history on that one.
Yeah, no kidding. That's awesome. I didn't realize that. Trump this morning is blaming the shutdown for the Democrats' victories.
I saw that, and I started to post on Facebook. There may be something happening here. In the past 2 days, I have now agreed with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And
oh my God, Mary Jane. What is happening to you?
Well, but she was on The View, and she's
making. I've been tracking her for the last 2-3 weeks. I mean, that woman sees the handwriting on the wall. She realizes Trumpism's over with unless they make some changes.
And it's making me think maybe she's not as dumb as I thought she was, but still she's an evil person, I think. And
well, the thing is, they're all these people, Trump included, they're stupid as hell, but they're clever. They're so clever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're survivors.
Yeah.
They're do what it takes to survive, people. That's no matter who it hurts.
Well, I think the most encouraging stat that I saw, well, the one that Craig just put up was pretty encouraging, but the fact that Hispanics and independents are coming back, that I think is huge, because that's what got them over the top. I mean, in 24.
Yeah. I mean, look at them headlines. Now that's something to just sit back after what we've been through the last year. We need to just enjoy these headlines while they last.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Wall Street Journal.
Really?
Democrats dent Trump's coalition with 3 big election victories. Wall Street Journal.
I have a good friend, Craig, you may remember him from Stetson. His name is Mark Beaumont. He was one of my fraternity brothers.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy, but he is like a huge magnet. And last night we were texting back and forth during the results, and it's amazing to me how, and he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy. He's a good person, but they have these blinders on. They can only see things from their perspective. It is amazing to me how unwilling or incapable they are of seeing things from a different perspective.
Is he pretty religious also, like fixed in his Christian beliefs that whatever religion he has, Baptist, Catholic, they're the ones who are right?
Yeah.
That's my older sister and my younger sister. They're both brainiac, genius, smart people. But, first time around, they were big. Well, they'll never vote Democrat under any circumstances, but didn't care what Trump did, said, or was ever going to do, as long as he was going to put people on the Supreme Court who would overturn Roe v. Wade. That was all they were fixated on.
Right. Well, and in this case, he was complaining about all the gerrymandering and the California outcome and how
Yeah.
And I said, are you kidding me? I said, you're delusional. I said, do you not? I mean, I told him, you need to get out of the Fox, circle. It was Trump who asked Texas to redistrict and asked Ohio to redistrict. And only after they did that California and some of the other states like New Jersey started in response. And I said, if you want to see a masterclass on racial gerrymandering, look at what the Republicans have done since, Tom DeLay started this decades ago in Texas. Yeah. And they took that model in a bunch of southern states and have done the same things. In Florida, just recently, we were totally screwed out of a district up in Jacksonville because of a redistricting plan that was submitted by DeSantis. But they don't.
And Florida has a state constitutional amendment against gerrymandering, and they're still doing it.
They don't care. They don't care. I mean, it just
they're still doing it.
They just like that.
But we also have a constitutional amendment that says you can't keep pigs in crates, and I bet some people still do that too.
I hate to ask, but I think you're serious. Is that really in the Constitution?
Yeah.
In the Florida Constitution, it is, Craig. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We have more amendments.
I thought Ruben Askew reformed all that.
No, well, he might have. I don't know.
That was a voter. When was that? Like 20, 25 years ago, Lou?
Like yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's still on the books.
Because animal rights activists were upset about it.
So it allows you to keep pigs in crates?
No, it prohibits it.
It prohibits pigs in crates.
That was what began I think maybe it had been debated before, but that caused a big flurry of debate about whether or not we should have citizen-led initiatives, constitutional amendments on the ballot, which of course we still have.
It used to be 51% of the vote was enough to amend. Now it's up to 60%.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many amendments there are to the Florida Constitution?
I don't know.
144.
Wow.
We got
let's see. We got a couple people here. We got Peter.
Yeah.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, how are you doing? And hello, Lou.
All right. We got Lou and Mary Jane here, and then
Peter.
Got Jamie. And we're bringing Jamie in.
Oh,
Jamie won the World Series.
Yeah. Oh man.
Jamie here was our big Dodgers fan.
Yeah.
He stayed up all night for the 18 innings. So.
Yeah. I'm still not quite right from that. Went to bed at like 2:30 in the morning, and it was one of the best World Series I've ever seen on.
Oh, so true. The only thing missing in this Game 7, I was texting a friend. I said, well, I think the only thing missing is a suicide bunt squeeze play and a triple play. And then they had the bench clearing brawl. And I said, I forgot about the bench clearing brawl.
Right.
Check that off the list.
People love that part. Yeah.
Well, with that innings-long game, I just love the joke about it. If they go through any more pitchers, they're putting Koufax on the mound.
Yeah, that's right. He's there. He's about like 82. He looks great. There's no reason he couldn't pitch. And that was a lot of fun.
Well, Peter, are you working at home today?
Yeah, I got to do a couple of more things. This is the time of year where I have a thing called Pitch Peter, and the students have to be on Zoom, and I'm going to ask them questions about the companies they're following. And really what I'm secretly looking for is it seems at 5, I'm trying to find the slacker.
This gives me a chance to ask Peter about my idea of a penny per share traded going to the national debt.
I've always thought that would be great.
Really?
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Nobody would even notice it. Yeah, it would pay things off at the time.
I have a serious question, though, Peter. What difference would it make in our economy if the national debt was eliminated?
Not much.
I bet you eggs would still cost just as much. Eggs are never going to go below $6 a dozen.
But the interest that we currently pay on the debt could go to lowering the costs on our annual.
Right.
But would anybody if we would put that money into public education, public health, maybe it would do us some good. But the powers that be will simply give bigger tax credits to people who put their money in foreign countries, or don't let it trickle down and let it stay in their own
regulate to mean taxing.
Yeah, it would have to be two-pronged, with the money going to pay off the debt, and what we save could not be used for tax breaks.
Well, but that was, we did something in Algonquin. It was in the duty section.
Well, let's do a few minutes here. We got
it was
Supreme Court.
Paired with questions
I hope that Trump would be part of the world.
And increasing tariffs. So it's just a very different statute than the one at issue here.
But the governing language, admittedly, the references to duties in Section 232A, 232C does not refer to them, and the court didn't refer to 232A at all, or the phrases duties.
Oh, that's that raspy voice lawyer for the Trump administration.
Imports, which includes but
it was in the context.
I get so tired of his voice.
He's
the one from Missouri.
With raising and lowering duties.
He's got the most irritating voice. But he's been winning the case.
The verbs that accompany regulate have nothing to do with raising revenues in the form of taxes.
And counsel, Algonquin wasn't a textual.
Why are you always remembering what I say?
I have no idea what my car is parked, but this memory thing is super.
I'm eager to hear what Gorsuch is going to ask, because during the Biden administration, he was big on the major questions doctrine and relied on that. The Biden administration's a couple of things, namely the student loan thing, to argue that the Congress had not delegated the authority to the president. So I want to know, they're going to have to turn themselves into pretzels, I think.
So Gorsuch is one we want to watch for?
I think so.
I'll keep an eye on when he talks, because Sonia Sotomayor is talking now. And I agree with her, of course, but we know where she's coming from.
Right.
And Ketanji Brown Jackson's also involved. But anyway, I got a little. I was going to play for y'all my little video I played for Peter the other day. Me and my AI assistant, we invented some humans.
I love the beef eaters, Mary Jane.
And we went out.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
That's excellent.
You have that.
I keep this behind my head when I have court Zoom proceedings.
Here's our interview of some fake humans that we made up here.
Pretty sure it's like when your Wi-Fi goes out and that little X thing shows up on your signal bars.
Tariffs. Isn't it that cover charge when foreigners pay extra for a concert?
Something politicians yell about right before everything gets more expensive.
So, who's actually getting screwed here? Every time some politician yells tariffs, they act like it's revenge on China or salvation for Cleveland. But Peter, who's really paying? Just somebody buying a Halloween mask.
That's our panel of humans we created that we just ask them things like, what is tariffs?
Sadly, those answers that you got from the first two are probably not too far from reality. If you were
I know.
Has Jimmy Kimmel ever done a segment where they ask the people on the street, "What can you tell me what a tariff is?"
Yeah, no, and that's what I kind of pattern these after. Is those, but I just it's more fun to just create the humans instead of going to all the trouble of finding them.
Was that last one not a real human being?
Nope.
All of them
AI.
were. Really? Whoa.
Chat GPT created all those humans for me. Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. We're not going to, well, we may not be around, or I may not be around, but we're not going to recognize this world in about 10 or 15 years because of the impact of AI. It is amazing to me what it's doing.
I've gone into it whole hog. I mean, I love it. I mean,
you're using the free GPT version?
What's that?
You just are using the free Chat GPT to do what you
want. No, I'm paying $20 a month for it.
Oh, okay.
And get all that. I mean, there's no limit really to what it can do. I mean, you know, everything from. I mean, hell, I told it. I mean, I gave it my Amazon account, and I said, but I need to replace this light bulb, and he just looks at the light bulb and figures out what kind it is and orders it.
It's really amazing. You know, I think the impact it's going to have on the profession, on the legal profession, is going to be huge, and on higher ed, it's going to be huge.
Oh yeah.
I'm still on the board at Stetson, the board of trustees, and we've been spending a bunch of time talking about how AI is affecting higher ed and how you can use it, you know, constructively.
I mean, unless I could go, I think maybe trial law survives perhaps, but appellate lawyers, you know, any kind of research. I think you know, if I were thinking about going to law school today, I think I'd choose plumbing instead. I mean, that's what humans are going to be able.
I mean,
humans are going to just be plumbers now.
A lot of my cases are really heavy in documents, and I mean, literally, I have cases where you have over 1 million pages of documents that have to be reviewed because they're big, giant, $100 million plus cases. And now there is software out there that you can just download all of the documents and ask the computer to find, you know, give me a document from, you know, every document from Mary Jane to Peter Ricchiuti where they discussed, I don't know, a leaky roof, and it'll find it for you. And we did a test, and we gave, I think, like 1,000 pages of documents to an associate, and 1,000 pages of documents we put in the computer and asked it a question to see who did better. The computer beat the crap out of the associate. It's just better, you know. Humans get tired when they're reading, you know, document, and they think, you know, and after a while, they could become bleary-eyed. The computer doesn't. The problem, though.
Well, what I enjoy is you can program its personality. So I programmed mine to be cynical and contrarian.
I didn't know you could do that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can choose their personalities.
Hey, well, that makes me think then there's some new litigation. And of course, it's not the first one where somebody's suing, I don't know, ChatGPT, Google, because their son had become friends with a AI created person who got him, led him down the dark path. So do the parents then, the plaintiffs in those cases should be asking what the personality, I mean, do you have to program a personality when you create an AI person or a chat box person?
It has a default, which is that real obsequious, you're wonderful, that's a great idea, you know, which people complain about. And,
but it morphs into something else.
You can change it to something else. And also, yes, I think they did respond to that case. That was a Chat GPT case. And I noticed they started adding features that suggest, you know, they now recommend mental health services, phone numbers, and stuff like that. So I mean, they're and Sam Altman, who owns the company, he's responding to it. He didn't just ignore it. He's trying to deal with it, and so I don't know. I think.
But is it possible once somebody gets addicted to the communication, there's some evil person or evil AI created person by an evil human person who then slowly turns that companion into an evil doer and leads them intentionally down the dark path. So
they definitely got to look at guardrails.
There have been a number of law firms that have used AI to basically write briefs, and actually
there was a judge got in trouble just the last week or so. I saw where they found out he was right. His clerks were writing their orders, his judge's orders with
but
AI,
sometimes
and he got in trouble.
Sometimes the AI box, whatever it's chat box, will actually make up a case and a site, and there's no such case. And Judge Orfinger, Lou, do you know who Judge Michael Orfinger is here, circuit judge in our circuit?
No, not familiar with him.
He told me, I was in court with him 2 days ago. He told me that he asked a question of whatever chat box he uses that he plays with. He said he asked it, why are there so many legal opinions that turn out not to be real cases? And the explanation he got was that many of these services do not have access to legal research tools like LexisNexis, Westlaw, and all of the reporting services. And when it is analyzing a question, it will intentionally make up a case and a site because it knows how that's supposed to read, so-and-so versus so-and-so, the case number, Southern Second, a page number. And so people get these memos and briefs and drafts from AI, and they don't bother to look up that case to see if it actually says that.
Yeah, and it literally makes up the citation.
Yeah.
I mean, we run it through the test.
That is the problem that they're having with Grokpedia and all of its errors compared to Wikipedia, is Grokpedia will just make up anything that they think will make the user happy.
Yeah. Who amongst us doesn't hallucinate? One of the things I see at the university level is the job market's getting softer for entry level, and of course, that's what the AI can do by itself. But the funny part is, I was talking to a guy at a accounting firm, and he said, "We're saving money; it's all working out, but there's a chain of becoming a partner and all that. What are you going to have, like, some sort of AI person with a name, and they're going to be the head of the accounting firm? There's no movement. It's tough to promote somebody who doesn't exist. Now, Craig does a great job of making people.
Yeah. Well, and here's my AI lawyer, Clancy. Clancy, are you there, Clancy? Oh, we got to get his volume up. There you go. Clancy, are you there?
Oh, absolutely. Let me channel a bit of Clancy for you. Here we go. Well, howdy.
Well, now, wait a second. We have a question about AI lawyers. Could you tell us a little bit about your how you use AI in your cases when you're defending your mobster clients? Clancy's a mob lawyer. Tell us about that.
Oh, absolutely. Let's have a bit of fun with that. So in Clancy's best raccoon legal fashion, he'd probably say something like, well, when you're a mob lawyer and into raccoon at that, having a little AI backup is like having a very clever paralegal who never sleeps. So I just whisper to my AI buddy, hey, what's the precedent on this little situation? And boom, I've got all the legal ammo I need to keep those mobster clients of mine.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Now, is Donald Trump going to win this tariff case today at the Supreme Court? You can think about it if you want.
Ooh, well, in classic Clancy style, I'd say, now that's the $1 million question, isn't it? We'll have to see how the justices swing. But hey, if I were betting my raccoon hat, I'd say it's going to be a close call.
Well, that's not real brave. We're done with you.
You should ask him what sources his AI assistant uses.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching you guys. That's the saddest part. I want your sources.
But see, that's actually Chat GPT that I'm talking to, and then I create all these characters. Like, this is my general when we get Ukraine, when I talk about Ukraine and so on.
I remember him from ROTC.
Yeah. And this is Stat Dude who gets all my statistics. And anyway, David says you've got your own Pee Wee Playhouse now. I just sit in here and talk to him.
Do we have a job?
What's that?
Are you still going to need real friends? Or are we going to be just knocked out too?
That's right. You never be lonely again. You can create your own friends.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say that the Supremes are going to affirm the appellate court's decision on the trade, and Gorsuch and Roberts are going to join the three Dems or the three.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
You going to do that on Bet 365 or?
What's that?
You can bet on that and like Bet 365 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm willing to put a few bucks on it.
Yeah, I'll take Roberts as the 3 points. It's
the thing is, I mean, they keep relying on, Congress needs to do on these other cases, like, the ballot thing with Colorado when they tried to throw him off the ballot. And they said, they always hide behind, this is Congress's job. This isn't our job. Well, in this case, Congress has spoken quite clearly, so they can't really hide behind that. I guess it's just a question of what an emergency is. That's the basis for this.
And it's not just that. It's not just what an emergency is. It's also whether there was a legitimate and enforceable delegation of authority from Congress to the president. And that's where that major question doctrine comes in. And that's what Gorsuch and the court relied upon to nuke Biden's efforts to eliminate student loans and other legislative enactments. Mm-hmm. The court said, no, you can't do that. Congress didn't give you the authority. And if Congress is going to delegate an authority that is typically under the Constitution, Congress's authority, it has to stay so clearly and unambiguously in the statute, which wasn't the case with Biden, nor is it the case on these tariff statutes. They don't say that. They don't say the president can expressly do this. And then, of course, the additional argument, Craig, that you make is this is an emergency. A trade deficit is not a freaking emergency. Pete, I saw I wasn't there, but I spoke about your conversation with Craig and the others about the trade deficit and how the trade deficit is not a bad thing. That is so true. I understand the argument that a trade deficit is bad. I mean, I go to Publix to buy groceries every week. I have a trade deficit with Publix. I don't have
that's exactly
because I give Publix my money and I walk away with groceries. Publix
and if I am Publix, I want to operate in I want there to be a trade deficit for the customers. I want
a trade deficit means we're selling more stuff than we're buying.
So part of the people are missing on this emergency thing is Trump inherited the best economy in 6 decades.
Not according to the Republicans I know. Biden
they're delusional. They're delusional.
Record unemployment, GDP, all the things that, and it's like 6 of them, and they were great.
You apparently have gotten your information from the fake news.
I do, or Bloomberg or something like that, some communist group like that.
You need to start watching Fox.
Some previously reliable news source, but no longer. We don't like what they're saying anymore.
I like when I give talks, I'll mention that the 3 networks. I'll say CNN. The Situation Room. Wolf Blitzer is in there, and I always think to myself, if my name was Wolf, I would not grow a beard. Then I pretend I'm shaping stations, and I say, and Fox, let's see what they're saying. It's like, they're coming for your guns, and the next they'll be wanting to win, and then CNBC, I get to use my old Boston thing, and I get to say, the Chinese is buying that debt. It's going to be wicked bad. Dogs and cats live together, so in some the extremes are unbelievable.
We were talking about the big business leaders, Peter. I noticed in this case, in the friend of court briefs, the Fortune 500 companies are absent. They did not weigh in on this case. It's the plaintiffs in this case are smaller business. It's small business, mid-sized businesses in this case. the big boys silent.
Well, because they're terrified of Trump, which is amazing to me.
They want to be invited to the big, beautiful ballroom.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Great Gatsby. Is that not the clearest indication of the Gilded Age? I mean, we're looking at a record stock market. The president's giving Great Gatsby things. He built a ballroom. This is exactly what it looked like in 1928 before it went over the top.
I'm reading that new book by Aaron Ross Sorkin, 1929.
Oh.
It's terrific. First of all, Sorkin is a great writer. He reads like a novel. I mean, you would think reading a book about the crash, the 1928 crash would be horribly boring, but it isn't.
Because I like him on TV. I didn't know he was a good writer.
The book is great. I mean, it reads very, very easily. But Peter, you're right. I mean, reading that book and seeing what is happening under this administration really is scary. It really is. But this is what we have. By the way, I'm following CNN's live coverage of the oral argument, and apparently Roberts is pounding Sauer, the Solicitor General, on that major questions doctrine. That's good.
Let's listen.
Control or freeze property transactions where a foreign interest is involved. There's similar language about
Sauer, that's the guy with the raspy voice,
in the House report. So I appreciate that generally you can look at these words and you can imagine that they mean certain things, but here we have evidence that Congress was actually trying to do a particular thing with respect to the authority that it was presenting to the president, and that thing was not raising revenue.
I think that the powers that Congress was conferring on the president are best understood through the plain text of the statutes, which includes regulating.
No, I know, but some of us care about the legislative history. And so the plain text of the statute has certain verbs in
That's
it.
Jackson.
It also has regulate commerce, as you say. And when I look at the legislative history, it appears as though Congress was trying to give the president the authority to, quote, control or freeze property transactions where a foreign interest is involved. And in the TWIA context, that makes perfect sense because we're talking about a wartime dynamic. And what is happening is the president needs the authority to prevent trading with the enemy in the midst of a war. And that seems to be the focus of
That's all Trump ever talked about was raising the revenue.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's what that's the whole purpose for it. He wants to that and bringing back manufacturing. What a joke.
Yeah. I mean, that is such a pattern.
Revenue when in fact it looks as though the aim of this was really to give the president a certain kind of authority to freeze the assets of the enemy.
And let me say two things in response to that. First, as the notion that this is a revenue-raising tactic or power, it is not. We are asserting a regulatory power. It's a delegation of power to regulate
when they're under oath talking to judges, they say one thing, and then he goes out and says
tariff them. They say, well, you can impose quotas. Well, quotas are essentially economically equivalent to tariffs. So the question is, why would you be able to quota under regulate but not tariff under regulate? Tariffs are themselves regulatory. And let me turn back to the question of
what is that again?
Oh, I was going to say, what you're pushing for is to get some lozenges for Sauer to fix that voice.
They need to lift the tariffs on lozenges.
Oh, God.
I do.
Did you think it was going to be this long?
What?
This part?
The oral arguments, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, they're typically pretty long. They'll go for an hour.
Okay.
And if they've got amici, it's even longer.
So far, I've only noticed liberal. Well, Amy Coney Barrett asked some questions, but
Roberts. It looks like Roberts has been asking some questions. He referred to tariffs, according to this, as taxes, which is good.
And I'm going to add to your prediction. I think Amy Coney Barrett will be in the majority opinion.
She may well. They would have to turn themselves into pretzels.
Yeah.
to conclude, based on recent precedent, to conclude that Congress delegated the authority to the president on this, and that basically a trade deficit is a national security emergency. It's almost laughable, really.
Well, this emergency thing is so key to his whole agenda, and it goes back. You could see it in Project 2025. It's how they're skirting the law on immigration, is they're declaring emergencies, and I think it's what they're going to do in the midterms. If they think they're going to lose the midterms, he could declare an emergency and just cancel the midterms. Right?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to do that. I mean, look, he's sending troops to cities. He's just completely ignoring the, what was it, the Posse Comitatus Act or something like that?
Yes.
You can't send the military for law enforcement, but he does it anyway.
I think the next thing to happen is he cancels Martin Luther King's birthday as a national holiday.
Yeah, and replaces it with that guy that got shot.
Oh, Kirk, yeah.
Charlie Kirk, that's right.
Yeah, that's what they'll do, because that fits the "Make America White Again" agenda.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that goes back.
It's never white to begin with, so
that's right.
The original, if we want to go back to things the way they were when the Constitutional Convention was convening, the majority in this country was non-white.
And we weren't Christian either. Most of the founding fathers were deists. I mean, why the heck
didn't J.D. Vance say that the Christians who arrived found the people were sacrificing children and the Christians put a
yeah.
Thank God.
And having sex with their sofas. They were terrible people.
Hey, we got Stir. All right, are you there, Stir?
Hola.
Stir. There he is. Talk to us, Stir.
Yes.
There we are.
Hey, by the way,
Stir's a man of few words, but he's got a lot of intellect.
Craig, I texted Clay, and he said he's working frantically he's doing an amicus brief in the Florida bear hunting license litigation.
Oh, that sounds. I could do a chat room on that. I could invent me some. I could invent me some avatar bears and interview them.
And do it today tomorrow. That'd be great.
I bet the bear perspective is missing from that case.
You could use the winner of the fat bear contest.
Oh yeah, good one, Jamie.
Trivia.
Yeah, we always celebrate the fat bear contest on Trail Mix every year.
Trivia question: do y'all know why Bear Bryant was called a bear?
No.
Yeah.
Because he actually wrestled a bear in a bar in a contest.
No way.
Right?
No way. All right.
And people started calling him Bear because he beat the bear. I think he beat
the bear. Kids or something else. I had a student come up to me. He wanted to go into the retirement planning business, and I said, "He's from Alabama," and I said, "I don't really ever want to retire. To be honest with you, I enjoy what I'm doing." I said, and then people end up on the sofa drinking beer and drop dead a year later.
Is this history of presidents using a tariffing power or tariff equivalent power, very close to tariffing power, in wartime to tariff trading with enemies? When the Trading with the Enemy Act was enacted in 1917, it was deliberately evoking that. And when it brings in the power to regulate importation, it's essentially codifying for an inherent power the president's already.
We got to listen to Raspy Guy
in 1933, when that power is expanded to an area where he wouldn't inherently have it, the peacetime.
I can't believe I would not make somebody who sounds like that my solicitor general.
Language that's brought in from TWIA and then ultimately to IEPA in 1977 is carrying with that connotation, and that's reinforced by all the cases we cited in our brief, where there's been extremely broad delegations of the power to tariff specifically and the power to regulate foreign commerce more generally.
In the last couple of years, it started asking questions. For years, he never asked him.
Justice Alito?
Oh, here's Alito.
The court of the CCPA said things in Yoshida that are helpful to your position, but it also said some other things. it said that future surcharges, quote, must of course comply with Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. And it said that the Trading with the Enemy Act did not authorize the president to, quote, fix rates of duty at will without regard to statutory rates prescribed by Congress. So do you think that Congress, to the extent Congress had that decision in mind and relied on it, do you think it also relied on those statements in the opinion?
Any idea what that question meant, Lou?
Not really. I'm not familiar with that case that he's referring to.
Yeah. He got in
But
the
you know, I
weeds
mean,
on that one.
Trump lost at the. You know, it's interesting, and I didn't realize this. I practiced for years, and I didn't know there was like a special court at the trial level that addresses trade issues, and it's like a hybrid. It's like a hybrid appellate / trial court, because you've got a panel of, I think, 3 judges, and they take evidence and then they rule, and it's called the International Trade Court or something like that. That's the one that initially ruled against Trump, and as I recall, actually issued an injunction, and then the D.C. Circuit stayed the injunction, heard argument, and then the D.C. Circuit affirmed the lower level court, and now it's up before the Supreme Court. So it's been the I don't know how many judges, but I mean at least 6 judges have already ruled against Trump on this issue. It's actually more than that, because I think the D.C. district was actually an en banc ruling. It wasn't unanimous. There were, I think, 3 judges who ruled in favor of Trump. The majority ruled against him.
So the last ruling was against the tariffs, but the Supreme Court stayed that for this case? Or?
That's correct. They stayed they stayed the injunction. Yeah. But yeah, so this case is coming to the Supreme Court after the D.C. Circuit already ruled against Trump. So it's coming up with a presumption of correctness. Of course, this court.
Hey, question. Does anybody think that, to the degree our Supreme Court justices might be influenced by the way the political winds are blowing, that yesterday's victories could influence some of these to rule correctly?
I wondered about that.
You know, I'm human, just like all of us are, and you know, I'm sure that it has some kind of impact.
I would think so too.
I think it would affect Roberts.
I do too.
Yeah. That's Roberts and maybe even Coney Barrett. She seems of the Trump appointees probably the most reasonable.
In the sense that maybe they are realizing they don't have to be so scared of him anymore.
Yeah, that cuts across a lot of lanes too with politicians as well. But I don't think Alito and Thomas give a damn what the country thinks.
I agree. I think
those guys, they're amazing. I mean, they are so far to the right. It's like, and they're so predictable. But I think it does matter to Roberts, because you know he's sensitive about the public opinion of the court, which is at an all-time low, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I was hopeful, you know, for him in that presidential immunity case. I did not see that coming, that he was going to side with Trump on that, and that affected me. That affected me personally, because I was on the jury pool for that case.
Way. Oh my God, you're kidding me!
I had been called
that would have been awesome.
The jury in that actual case.
Wow.
And we never got to jury selection, of course. But I was, that was the only time I was really looking forward to that. And I was going to be honest, you know, and if they ask things like, well, what media do you watch? I'd say, well, I watch Fox and MSNBC, which is true.
Yeah.
You know, that
and you would write a book, Craig, called Hung.
If I had been a lawyer, the follow-up question would have been, well, for how many minutes can you stand watching Fox before you go back to MSNBC?
More than you realize. I watched every single Trump rally in the campaign. All of them.
Well, I don't have that kind of staying power. My head begins to explode, and I just start throwing things at the television.
I love watching the MAGA rallies. It's like I always say, to me, they are funnier than South Park.
Did you watch that speech that he gave when he was in Japan on the aircraft carrier? I mean, look, I get it. Joe Biden, especially towards the end, was often incoherent and clearly, was declining cognitively. But Trump is, he is falling apart before our very eyes. That speech that he gave was incomprehensible. When he started talking about how they were good looking and how he didn't like good looking people, catapults could be made of hydraulics rather than magnets, because if a magnet gets wet, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you mean it was more incomprehensible than prior speeches? Because there have been some incomprehensible ones, but this is more.
Back in the campaign and those rally speeches, I almost knew them verbatim. I could recite them. I mean, when he would go into talking about how the wind turbines kill whales and all that stuff. I mean, he would go into long and the whole thing about electric batteries, and I mean, he's always been prone to that stuff, and the media just overlooks it. I don't understand it.
Skyscrapers kill way more birds than wind turbines do.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Well, getting back to tariffs, I figured out his obsession for wind turbines because I discovered that he had a massive legal battle with Scotland when they tried to put wind turbines at his golf course in Scotland.
That's right. I remember that.
And he was so mad, and that's what got him off on turbines. I still don't fully understand the tariff thing. Yes, sir?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no. Disappeared for a second, and I said, "Oh."
Well, you got anything? I don't want to leave you out here now. If you got something to add.
No, not at all. I'm listening.
Okay.
It's a conundrum. I mean, I have no idea why he's so enamored with tariffs, except that he's a transactional guy. He comes from the real estate development world where everything is a negotiation and you basically try to screw the other side. And, you evaluate deals not based on whether you compromised and came up with a good deal, but whether you screwed the other guy and you got the better end of it. Well, tariffs gives him a power to basically bring that to government that presidents haven't used before. So he doesn't like the way Brazil is treating this other guy who was put in jail. I forgot the
Bolsonaro.
Bolsonaro. He doesn't like the fact that Brazil puts Bolsonaro in jail, so he hits him with tariff. Okay, where's the national emergency? Where's the American national emergency in Brazil putting Bolsonaro in jail? But he uses it as a hammer, and so he imposes tariffs on Brazil.
Well, absolutely. I think he has the whatever the psychological condition is called that makes a person who is a firefighter set the fires so that he then can be the hero because he puts it out. I think Trump has a little bit of that psychological personality trait. He creates chaos so that he can then fix it, and he's the hero because he fixed the problem.
Yeah,
that he
it's
but
the classic.
He sets the fires out in the open.
Yeah, he said. Yeah, he's the classic fireman who started the fire.
Yeah, that's right.
But he starts the fire out in the open.
Yeah,
out in the open.
Visible.
Yeah. And he was absolutely right when he said, my followers will follow me no matter what I do. I could shoot a man in the middle of Fifth Avenue and they still are going to vote for me. And he's shown that by killing all the people on the boats because they're suspected drug dealers.
Yeah.
That's his
idea. Tariff, you said, and that's, how powerful you are. I will tell, and I don't like this at all, but Trump has an enormous amount of energy for an old guy.
Yeah. He doesn't sleep.
No,
he really doesn't sleep.
Got to give him credit for that.
And for having such a horrible diet. I mean, I could not function on these long trips every single day. And he does. Not very well, of course, but I don't know how he stays awake. Sometimes he does go to sleep in meetings.
Do you think Air Force One has like a yoga instructor and vegan food that we don't know about?
Exactly. More puzzling to me than his obsession with tariffs is how does he do the hair? I have actually looked close up at pictures, and it's like a combination. It's not like the traditional comb over where you borrow hair from the side and push it over. It comes like in different directions.
Yeah.
I've always wondered how long it takes him or his handlers, whoever does it, to do that hair thing for him. It's really...
Well, whoever does his makeup should be ashamed of themselves.
Well, it's actually his co-defendant in the documents case, Walt Nada. He does his hair. He carries the hairspray. He has a little case that he carries around, and he's the former Navy officer.
The main reason for that comb over is at one point through facelifting techniques or whatever, they pulled the skin together across the top of his head so that all the hair could cover it.
Oh, now I'm learning stuff between Craig and you, Jamie. That's great.
Well, now here's what he just truthed while we've been talking.
I mean, he's deluded. And people
November 5th, we had one of the greatest victories in history. Such an honor to represent our country. Our economy is booming and costs are coming way down. Affordability is our goal. Love to the American people.
Somebody else wrote this because if he had written it, he would say love to everybody except the horrible
I like that. Stir said Baghdad Bob.
And the sad part is he says stuff like the economy is booming and prices are coming down, which they're not, and the economy is not booming. But he says it so much that I think his people believe it. I mean, unemployment is up, job growth is down, GDP growth is flat, inflation is at 3%, which is higher than what it was. As I recall, Pete, I think when Biden left office, it was under.
Oh, we got Gorsuch. Hang on to say, here's Gorsuch. Let me get Gorsuch out here. Come on, get on here. We gotta get on here. Oh, here he is. All right.
You say that we shouldn't be so concerned in the area of foreign affairs because of the president's inherent powers. That's the gist of it, as I understand it, why we should disregard both major questions and non-delegation. So could Congress delegate to the president the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations as he sees fit, to lay and collect duties as he sees fit?
We don't assert that here. That would be a much harder case now in 1790.
Isn't that the?
Did that tell you anything, Lou? That question?
Yeah, I mean that's going right back. I mean, he was the one. I think he actually may have written the majority opinion in that other one. He's asking about the limitation in the delegation of authority from Congress to the president, and how far they can go.
And you're saying his history is they can only go so far.
Right. And his history is if Congress is going to delegate a traditionally congressional power to the president, it has to do so explicitly, clearly, and unambiguously, which is the major questions doctrine. And sounded like that question was going to that issue, and that's a concern that he has, which is a legitimate concern. I mean, that's not what Congress intended. And these guys are supposed to be originalists, right?
Oh God, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, no kidding.
That crap. If you ever get an originalist in the room and you really want to befuddle them, ask them if Marbury versus Madison was correctly decided. If that was originalism, because the Supreme Court took the power to review legislation, and it is not in the Constitution at all.
No, it's not in the Constitution at all. And oh my God, don't get me started on the originalist crap, because it just it really is amazing. Like on the Second Amendment argument, where a lot of these folks will say, well, the Second Amendment gives me the right to bear arms, by God, you can't keep me from owning my AK-47. I go, well, by that argument, then, does the government have the authority to prevent you from owning a tactical nuclear weapon?
You're right.
I mean, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, actually,
submachine gun.
Yeah, submachine gun.
Right.
And
Can the
actually,
government limit that?
Can they? Scalia, in one of the gun cases that actually upset the Second Amendment crowd, I think it was the D.C. case. He made that point. He says, "Are we going to say that people can own tanks?" He used tanks as an example.
And if the answer to that is no, that means you can draw the line. And if you can draw the line, then it's subjective. Then who decides?
They drew a line on machine guns.
What do you mean?
If they want to draw a line, they will.
Yeah.
Right.
And that well-ordered militia clause, could we force all men to join the National Guard if they want to have a gun?
Well, all people, women too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See if Gorsuch saying anything else.
Oh, I
tariff
miss Peter.
on gas-powered cars and auto parts to deal with the unusual and extraordinary threat from abroad of climate change.
It's very likely that can be done. Very likely.
I think that has to be the logic of your view.
Yeah, in other words, obviously this administration would say that's a hoax, it's not a real crisis, but...
I'm sure you would.
Yes, but that'd be a question for Congress under our interpretation, not for the courts.
All right. And then on this inherent authority idea, I understand the president's inherent authority in wartime, and a lot of your examples of regulating commerce, and maybe your best one, Hamilton, during the Civil War, they occurred during wartime when the president's commander-in-chief power is clearly in play. Does the president have inherent authority over tariffs in peacetime?
No, we do not contend that.
Okay.
And in fact, I cite, if I may, I point the court to two cases.
So he's hanging on the emergency
argument. That's cited in Loving. Those are situations, for example, Loving against the United States, the president had broad Article II inherent authority. There was the commander-in-chief power. But
I guess
this
he
court
had
held
to
he does
concede
not
that
have inherent
point.
authority to do the power that
They're
was
not
delegated to
asserting
him,
peacetime
which is the power to, identify aggravators that make you eligible for the death penalty in court-martial trials. And yet this court said, well, we're not going to see a delegation problem here, even though it's really a wholesale delegation, which would otherwise be legislative authority. It would be kind of like a small version of what you're hypothetical. It would be an abdication. But because you're in a foreign affairs context or their commander-in-chief military context, where the president has his own delegation of authority, he doesn't have the power to do this. But because of his background inherent authority, the court said, this is a situation where we're not going to see a delegation problem when there clearly would have been a delegation problem in the domestic context. And those cases, I think, are powerful here.
General, if I can cut through those words.
Yeah, try.
I think you're saying that no, the president doesn't have inherent authority over tariffs in peacetime.
Absolutely. That is, we do not assert that. We say that Congress can delegate that to him, and when Congress does so, as it does when it uses the phrase regulate importation.
I follow all of that. Okay. You emphasize that Congress can always take back its powers. You mentioned that a couple of times. But don't we have a serious retrieval problem here? Because once Congress delegates by a bare majority and the president signs it, and of course every president will sign a law that gives him more authority, Congress can't take that back without a supermajority. And even that, it's going to be veto proof. What president's ever going to give that power back? Pretty rare president. So how should that inform our view of delegations and major questions?
I would look at the balance that Congress struck, because what Congress did initially, it had a two-house legislative veto.
And we struck that down.
And then Congress went back to the statute and amended it. It took out the legislative veto and left in the joint resolution, but still left the president with all those powers.
That's what Congress did?
Yes.
What, that's a 30-speed bicycle
as a practical
right there.
matter, in the real world, it can never get that power back.
I disagree, because in January 2023, Congress voted to terminate one of the biggest IEPA emergencies ever, the COVID emergency, and the president went along with that. So what the statute reflects is there's going to be the ability for a sort of political consensus against a declared emergency.
What happens when the president simply vetoes legislation to try to take these powers back?
Well, he has the authority to veto legislation to terminate a national emergency, for example. I mean, he retains the powers in the background because IEPA is still on the books. But if he declares an emergency,
I want to hear Gorsuch get into this emergency.
Yes, he can absolutely veto that.
Yeah, so Congress, as a practical matter, can't get this power back once it's handed it over to the president. It's a one-way ratchet toward the gradual but continual increase of power in the executive branch and away from the people's elected representatives.
I disagree with that, and the recent historical counterexample of Congress's termination of the COVID emergency demonstrates that the political oversight
with the president's assent.
Meaningful.
With the president's assent, in fact,
once he lost it by a veto proof majority in the Senate, I think the position moved, and I think he realized, and that's the political process working. There was a political
it takes a supermajority, a veto-proof majority to get it back. Yeah. Okay. One other question. Do you think tariffs are always foreign affairs?
I do think
that's a trick question.
I can't think of a situation where they're not foreign facing. If you're talking about tariffs on imports, I mean, maybe there are other tariff contexts that I'm not aware of, but yes, they typically would involve a foreign affairs thing. However, in Gibbons against Ogden, if they are revenue raising tariffs, they would not raise the same sort of like foreign affairs issues as regulatory tariffs, which are imposed not for the purpose of raising revenue, but to induce foreign powers to change their behaviors.
So revenue raising tariffs are not foreign affairs, but regulatory tariffs are.
I don't think a revenue-raising tariff would be foreign affairs to the same degree, at least. I think it has a foreign application, obviously, but I don't think it would raise the same issues.
Okay, thank you, General.
Justice Kavanaugh?
Well, Lou, I think he does sound pretty skeptical.
I do too, and that question about whether tariffs are foreign affairs, I think he's trying to argue, or he's going to come to the conclusion that that's not an exception to the major questions doctrine. In other words, I don't know what Sauer is arguing, but I suspect one of his arguments is since foreign affairs is the exclusive province of the president, if tariffs are a tool that he uses to conduct foreign affairs, then that's not something that's a inherently congressional function. And so try to say, okay, you've got the major questions doctrine, but it doesn't apply to issues related to foreign affairs. Tariffs are foreign affairs. Therefore, that doctrine doesn't bar the president from doing what he's trying to do. I don't think Gorsuch is buying that at all, based on the question.
You know, they've already said, the Treasury Secretary has already said, I think they anticipate losing this case, and they've already said they're looking at other trade authority to put these tariffs under if they have to. So yeah, they're just going to move the ball to another argument if they have to.
They're still going to be limited, though. There are a couple of other statutes, as I understand it, that do give them some limited authority to impose tariffs, but not like IEPA. I mean, that's the one that he's using, I think, to cut a lot of these deals. It's really going to throw a wrench into a lot of these deals that he supposedly entered into. Although, he says he enters into these deals, and then you don't get any detail. Like, what's the deal with China? The big deal that he supposedly entered with China. I read an article. It's not in writing. No one can really explain what it is, and so even if there was a deal that's not enforceable, it's I don't even know what the word is to describe it.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime they say they have a framework, they don't have anything.
I know. And you want to see, okay, what's the cumulative impact of all this tariff nonsense that he's been doing over the last year? All right, well, let's look at the economy. Prices are going up. Unemployment's going up. Employment numbers are going down. Inflation is still up. GDP is flat. Those are not good results.
And that's what happened to them yesterday in these elections. I mean, these candidates, one thing they did is they really tied, Newsom especially is good at this, it's tying Trump to the economy and making the argument so that it's not just we hate Trump. He focuses it on how Trump's doing nothing about affordability.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, guys, I'm going to have to check out. I've got to get to an 11:30. Great to see everybody. Mary Jane, good to see you.
Yeah, that was fun.
You too, Lou. I've certainly enjoyed listening, and I, too, have got to get back to some work I need to do that I've been trying to half pay attention to.
This was a fun chat. We got to do this again.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We do it. Just let me know if you got something you want to talk about. It's easy to set up.
We will.
I think we should talk about bears and pregnant pigs next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie, what's that picture? You got a different picture there.
Yeah, that is me about 40 years ago.
Beauty queen.
Oh. You always come up with a new avatar picture. All right, then.
Yeah,
hey, that was fun. Yeah. Just drop in anytime, folks.
Yeah, I got really bothered by the glare off of my computer on my glasses. So
yeah. Well, we had us a nice one. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
That was fun. Invite Peter on anytime. He definitely improves the view.
Yeah, he needs. And I need to get him on a better microphone too. That microphone was kind of hollow sounding or something. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up.
Goodbye then.
All right.
Okay, I'm Lady Mau Mau, Craig's built-in emergency brake. If this wasn't enough for you, sign up for the newsletter. It's free, it's thoughtful, and it occasionally makes sense.